What's going on? Strider, the mayor of Sodium City here, and I just wanted to welcome you all back to the podcast, whatever this fucking thing is. Today we were able to sit down with Hollywood Pizza, a super cool guy, but before we get into that, hit that subscribe button, bell notification, and stay salty. Hello, Pete's. How are you?
Yo, what up, Strider?
When are people gonna call you Pete? Or Pete's? I'm
don't
gonna
know,
spread
actually.
it. I'm gonna get people to do it.
Hollywood
that's your
Pete.
real name. Your real name is just Pete's. Pete or Pete. The Adventures of Pete and Pete's.
Pete, and Pete's.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
So yeah,
What's
how's
up,
it
man?
going?
How's everything going? Good. Got the new year rolling along. You know how it goes.
Oh, that's right. It's the first right now. Jesus. No rest
Yeah,
for
we're
the wicked.
still in the first here. Yeah, no rest for nobody.
I know, right?
Champagne
Never.
bottles all day.
Champagne caviar.
Let's go, baby.
My yacht is your yacht.
Me yacht is Sue yacht.
Exactly. So yeah, why don't you tell people where to find you if they don't know already?
You can find me on Twitch TV /HollywoodPizza. On Twitter, you can find me at Pizza Goif. That's Tarma Goif, but Pizza Goif instead. And you can find
Let's
us
talk
Pizza
about that.
Space Box MTG on YouTube for our tournament YouTube.
Definitely check those out, obviously. All the links will be in the description below, for sure. Wait, so why is your Twitter name different than everything else?
Hollywood Pizza was just taken. Remember when I had that alternate account by mistake?
Yes.
So one day I was trying to actually just sign in to Twitter, and instead Twitter made me make a new account, and I didn't realize it. So then I was like Hollywood Pizza 7, and I'm like, that's not... I'm Pizza Goif. When I was originally doing Twitter, there was just... Hollywood Pizza was just taken, so that was the next thing. I was like, what do I want like a... I wanted like a Twitter name that stuck out, right? Because everyone kind of has a Twitter name that sticks out. Like some people specifically do, but it's like it's like a sentence or something, right? It says it's like at Jank Deck Building or something, right? Like I don't know. So I wanted something that people kind of notice, which was Pizza Goif, even though obviously it hurts because when you're looking me up, it's hard to look me up on Twitter.
Yeah, because I always look for Hollywood Pizza and I can't find you.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah,
I probably should have made it originally Hollywood Pizza like 3 or something, but I just felt like that was I don't like that. I never liked that.
Hollywood 4 Pizza.
Yeah, we could Hollywood 4 Pizza. Or just I could actually add zeros probably to my name.
Pizza for Hollywood.
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't work either. Or you could just change it to Pizza Box. Well, that's definitely taken.
Well, I have my Twitter. We made I have my Twitter, and we have the organization's Twitter separate. And
okay, so you have a Twitter specifically for the org. I didn't know.
Yeah,
that,
Pizza Box MTG is also you can find it on Twitter. It's gonna be.
All right, I need to find that Pizza Box.
Pizza Box.
Oh, never mind.
It's gonna be
following
it. At Pizza Box MTG. Yep, at Pizza Box MTG. So we made it. It's funny because originally Pizza Box MTG was actually taken.
Tweet. What is that? What's going on?
That one's our sponsor.
What's with the old ass? Oh, it's just okay. I thought it was for a tournament announcement at first.
No, yeah, it's just my sponsorship. Yep,
got it.
Yep, that's just what we got pinned up there for comicbookstore.tcgplayerpro.com.
Hell yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, we got some big tournaments coming up.
We do have a lot of big tournaments. Starting with actually not this Sunday, which actually is today, but so it is actually going to be this coming Sunday, the 9th of January. We actually have Alchemy, just regular Alchemy.
How many signups do you have for that already?
We have 50 signups.
Really?
I checked right now.
I'm surprised.
Right now we have 50 signups exactly.
I'm
expecting it to hit
surprised.
100. It's gonna hit. I mean, it's gonna be 100 people usually.
Really? You think it's gonna be that high? Are people actually enjoying it though? I feel like a lot of people aren't actually enjoying it. They're like
So
lying to themselves. I think some people people hate it, and I think people love it, but the people who love it don't love it that much.
so
Which is, I don't know if that makes sense.
I yes, it does actually, because I'm actually in that boat of the I like it, but how much of it do I like? Like
All of it. The answer is
Alchemy is
all
a
of it.
lot of fun. Alchemy is super super fun. Like I can't stress enough how fun the format is. I also can't stress enough how many decks, like how much you can do.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
meta. The only meta that you and me know from Alchemy is dragons.
Yes.
But
True.
every dragon
True.
deck is also not the same. Some dragon decks are Boros, some are mono red with Chandra, some are the black
Yeah.
red dragons. Some people actually play 5 colors. Some people still
Black
play
green.
Is it like, do you see what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not just one deck still.
Yeah.
Even if we're talking about one like that is really narrow, like dragons, like there's like 6 different variants of it, even if most of them are playing
That's
Goldspan, Town
true.
Razor, Whelp. That's where you start. Right? Those
Yeah.
are your first 4, right?
Yeah. Town
So
Razor's so
that's like
good.
the base of that deck.
Such a
Yeah,
good
Town
card.
Razor is
So
broken. I
I
think
love that card.
Alchemy, it's if you have the money for Alchemy is what it comes down to, because you have to understand that you're gonna end up wanting to play everything.
Yes.
And
True.
that's also a good thing because the meta is changing all the time in Alchemy, right? Because
Mhm.
technically there's no
Which is
best deck.
good.
So different things are good all the time, right? Like someone's got 70% win rate, 100 games or whatever, right? And this person, 60 whatever and 300 games. So I mean, it's all it all ends up being about the same as if it ends up feeling the same as like the other formats. I think the biggest problem a lot of people had with it was that it affected historic. Mostly because historic already has like so much going on in it. Um between that and the
Yeah.
price, I think are the most upsetting. I love Alchemy. Like I said, I love it, but I also like there's a certain part of it where I'm like, all right, in order for me to keep going, I like kind of have to craft all the cards
Yeah.
because
Because if you
that's
want to craft all the decks, that's
yeah.
true. Because all the
And
decks, they
I
do get really expensive. And you just
yeah,
want to
well,
play
I
them all
mean,
because they're all
every deck
very,
is 40
very high
rares, right?
tier.
Every deck starts at like 40 rares, right? You got 10 4 ofs in your
That's
deck or
true.
something. So
And then all the
and
lands, you
lands.
have to have all the lands. Yeah, but all the
Yeah,
lands are
yeah.
pretty. I mean, everyone's good. You have to have all the lands anyway, regardless of what deck
Yes.
you're playing.
Five
So that's
490
generic.
no, 500 wild cards exactly I think is what it is for all the rare lands. Rares and mythic
That's
lands.
so
Sorry, rares
much.
and mythic lands. And yeah,
What
we did the
mythic
math.
lands do people even play?
Base's End.
Is it
LOL.
what
Like
is that the? There's got to be more.
no, there's other mythic lands, but I think Maze's End was like the top. I was like, yeah, that card. Remember that card?
Yeah,
Fog,
unfortunately.
fog, fog. Go
Fucking
search for a
bases in.
land.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's
All right.
literally like the
Now I have
opposite
to
of what
find
you want to
out.
do.
Yeah.
Like
Now
that's
I have to
literally the
find out
opposite.
exactly what it is.
Cause you're just like your land destruction. Maze's End is like I need to go get a land and put it into play. It's literally the
Yeah.
opposite.
It's so annoying because those decks just put so many lands into the battlefield. So
Yeah. Uh, I know this is
so.
kind of weird, but I feel like this is something that some people haven't thought about. I think is that everyone is really stuck on nerfing,
Ooh,
right?
there's.
Everyone's like, "Oh my god, what if they, down tick my card?" To
Oh
me,
yeah.
what I really think is going to happen is that they might nerf something if it's like crazy, like Captain, the 4 mana Captain's kind of there, like it might get nerfed, right? Like that. The
Oh
Whelp,
yeah, yeah.
Whelp is powerful.
I
I
kind of want
mean,
Whelp to be. I kind of want Whelp to
upkeep.
be on upkeep instead of end
Yeah.
step, but it's
So you could
not.
see both of
I
those
don't know if
cards
it's
getting
game
nerfed.
breaking yet, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know if it's game. Yeah, I don't know how crazy it is. I mean, so what I actually think is going to happen is that this is going to end up being only digital cards are going to be the good cards. Right now, what we're seeing is that because there's like only so many digital cards, those cards seem ridiculous because these other regular cards are trying to keep up with them or trying to work with them, right? So of course these other cards that
Yeah.
were made purposefully powerful seem more powerful. So what I think is going to happen instead of nerfing
Yeah,
is
but
that
they're assist cards more than anything because they may be extremely powerful, but the fact that you're still using very powerful cards from the regular standard set,
yep,
you're just using a lot of other powerful cards as assists instead of huge win conditions.
yep.
It's also
So I
making a
think
lot of non-viable cards viable,
right.
which is also really
Tovolar is the
nice.
first one that I think of. Like when
Yeah,
I think
and
of
it's really
like
good for people's
Wolves is a real deck.
collections. Yeah, that's true. Wolves is
Right.
crazy right now.
The overall idea, right, is that like on this digital platform where we can't get rid of the cards, that's how I feel is I want to have all the cards because once I have all the
Yeah.
cards, then I get to do whatever I want.
Yeah,
I don't have to
exactly.
sit here being like, "Oh my god, I'm just losing because I'm playing the one deck that I was able to invest in because the economy sucks," right?
It's
So,
expensive though.
Alchemy, I mean, we did the math the other day on stream. If you want every single card on Arena, it's about $7,100. If you literally only go out and get the gems and everything, it's 71. It was I did the math because I counted up how many someone showed me how many rares there were on stream. So I did that math and I came up with like it was like 14,000 and I was like that's not realistic because you don't have to buy all of the cards. You only buy half of the cards because half of those cards gets you the other half, right? Between opening packs, opening a random wild card in the pack. So theoretically, you're looking at about $71 to $8,000 if you want to own every card on Arena. Realistically speaking, though, Strider, if I want a modern deck, 75 cards, $1,000. Right? If
Yeah,
I want to play, this is what is kind of
but
wild
then
about
people
it.
talk
If I
about
want to play
renting
MTGO,
cards.
if I want to play an MTGO, dude, like, bro, it's the same amount almost as a real deck, right? Like, if I want to play MTGO,
Yeah,
it's like half of the deck,
they
right?
say it's exact right now, if not a little bit worse, because there's a lot of cards you can't find right now, even in renting services, because nobody's opening up standard decks to draft because they'd rather just draft
Kaldheim,
on
some cards in
MTGA.
Kaldheim are expensive because nobody drafted it either. Like
Yeah,
Zendikar, Roiling Vortex is like $30 or something online. I don't know how much it is, but yeah, because nobody drafted the set, so it's the only way to get it, right?
yeah.
So when we
I
make these
just
other
don't know what the
comparisons,
renting thing is. Like, do you rent it for a certain amount of time, or do you rent it until you give it back?
I think you have to play a certain amount of time with it. I don't know how the renting works exactly, but it is like a
Yeah,
monthly thing, or you rent like I could go rent a deck
yeah, it
for
can be
this amount of
monthly.
time or whatever.
Yeah.
The thing about Arena is you can't really have a renting service unless you got $8,000 laying around. But then that's one account. You just spent 8K on one account for your renting service. Like what? That's
Yeah,
crazy, right?
yeah,
Like that's outrageous. So it's
yeah.
weird because in terms of like Magic, it to me it always felt like Arena was almost the cheapest because it's like all right,
It
I pay this
is.
much and the cards aren't that much. Like I have the cards now, like my standard deck, right? Like you can spend like $100 and pretty much build like a standard deck, right?
Yeah,
Like let's
yeah.
be realistic here. Like
Whenever a
you pretty
standard
much
set
build
comes
like
out.
mono green or white or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
you can build these decks, but if you want to do more, if you want to play all the cards, and that's where you have to actually like either be really good at drafting, which is
Yeah.
really hard to do. Even
Yeah,
anybody that
if
drafts
you're really
will
good, you
tell
can
you
go
it's
infinite, but
really
it's
hard
hard.
to go infinite on Arena.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
just
it's really
is,
hard.
right? So you have to either be that good, like right, this is like a starting player, right? You have to be that good, or you just buy the cards
Yeah, but at the same
because
time,
there's no way around it, you know?
even if you don't go infinite, you're still getting so many packs and so many wild
Yes,
cards and so many
exactly.
gems from draft that you're coming up.
Yep.
If even if you're like staying the same or going a little bit down, you're
We're
still doing
talking
really,
50
really
cards,
good.
right? Every draft is 50 cards, so you got like average 1 to 3 rares, right? So 50
Something
cards,
like
average
that.
1 to 3 rares, and that goes straight to the vault every time.
Yeah. It
You
could
know, that's
just
another
yeah,
thing
it
too.
could
It's
get
like if you complete the
ridiculous.
set, that just goes, it's the Dean mentality of like, I need to craft all my cards so that when I open the packs, all these packs go straight to the vault, which actually in
Yeah.
turn gives me more wild cards, right?
Which
Which is
sucks
the
so
way
bad.
around things.
The vault is so bad though.
Yeah, the way that the vault works is really bad because you don't really get anything out of it. My as weird as it was, my favorite thing was always the pack wheel. I always felt like if you were free to play, like Dude, forget like spending 5K on a draft. Like get 5 packs. That's a wild card, right?
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
you know,
I think you shouldn't buy packs though if you're doing that stuff. The best way to get if you're not good at drafts, the best way to play is using the events. Doing the just the constructed events. If you can get 7 wins or whatever, you can farm gold like fucking crazy. It's pretty easy because even me using
You
like
double
garbage
gold.
land destruction jank decks, you can go even pretty consistently.
5 wins.
Go up to
4 or
7
5
wins.
wins is fine.
Yeah, exactly. If you're doing best of 3, you can do that as well. But best of 1, I mean, you can just.
I like the card
that.
rewards from those too.
Yeah, you
I
get
remember
the,
playing those a lot. You actually get rares when you get 6 and 7 wins.
Yeah, you get mythics if you get 7.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
really,
get good
really
cards.
nice.
So
yeah, and then you get gold.
That's a good
and
point.
Stuff like that.
Events.
It's really good because you don't have to get to. The only benefit is getting 2 mythic is 1 more pack.
Yeah, 1 more pack, and it's not even what you get.
It's just not even.
It's not even worth it. It's 5 packs, right? 5 packs, 2,000 gold. That's like not really worth you spending about like a 20-hour period of trying to get to mythic. Like on average, right? Probably most people take probably about a day's worth of actually playing to do it.
Yeah, I used to just grind the constructed events before I was streaming, and I would not have to spend any money whatsoever on Magic whenever a new set came out. I would
because you just had the gold.
Yeah, exactly. You would just have the gold. Once I invested my first like front load to get like 3 sets, I think it was when I first started. There was 3 sets. I pretty much bought everything on there, and then after that, it was just. I think my initial investment was like $500 or something. Then after that, I was just free to play for like 5 or 6 sets.
I probably spent about 1,000 on the game, a little bit more, I think, than 1,000. At one time, I did drop. When I got back in, when Ikoria came out, I was like, yeah, $500, let's go. Yeah, you know what? I was literally like, yeah, let's get all the cards like right now, and I can play everything I want and not care. Like, and honestly, that's as much as Arena. Like, there's a lot of problems with Arena, but there's also like a lot of good things to it too. Yeah, you know, like like the obviously being able to play all the time, and there's a lot of problems, but they, like I said, like at the end of the day, it almost feels like the cheapest way to play Magic because if I want to play paper, if I don't want to be someone that gets upset at F&M because my deck costs $50 and I keep getting crushed, then I have to spend $500, $1,000 on a deck, right? Yeah. And that's 75 cards. Like, that's not even a collection.
And there's that's not even a collection, best of 1 tournaments.
Where are my best of 1
tournaments? Where's my best of 1 tournaments at? What the hell?
Man. Yeah, I bet it's crazy.
You gotta buy sleeves, and then you gotta foil out and limited edition your whole
event.
Yeah.
The event costs money. Like, people forget. Like, F&M is like $5, but I mean, if you want to play like a real event, it's like 25. If you want to play in like a GP, it's like $100, right? Obviously, they don't have GPs, but this is like these are like the balances of it. Like, this is what competitive Magic. This is what happens with competitive Magic. There's not really like a way around it because
exactly. It's a lot of money.
The best is going to the top.
Exactly.
Like, people don't understand that. Like, people forget that like these pro players or some of these grinders, like, all they do is play. They have figured it out. Right? They've literally figured out that this is what the best thing is. I've played 500 games, right? Like, after 500 games, you probably know what you're doing, right?
Yes.
Like, probably. With a deck, like,
especially when you go up against like pretty much every meta deck at that point.
Yep. So
it's like second nature. You know exactly how to sideboard. Yeah.
You can't expect your jank deck that you built, it's gonna compete with that. Like, yeah, you yourself are gonna be that good at it. Like, you yourself, and that's what I mean. That's the saddest part about it, is that that's the worst part of Arena. There's no originality. I'm guilty of it. I play net decks. I'm just like, all right, this is the meta. We're playing. We're gonna jump on ladder and do this, and I don't have the same like charisma that you have when you're like janking and doing other stuff. So for me, it's more like, all right, I'm just gonna do this. But Arena breeds competitiveness, because Arena says if you don't win, you don't get things. It's your
True.
literal XP is
But
based
that's
off
the
of if you
same-
win or not.
Yeah, but that's the same with in person. If you don't win, you don't get things. If you don't win, you're actually losing things. 'Cause
Oh yeah, you're losing a
money.
lot in real life. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's not even that bad. Like to me, it's weird. It's a weird conversation because originally it started with Alchemy, but to me, it's like Arena is like
It's always been like
it's
that,
weird.
yeah.
Arena's like one of the cheaper ways to actually enjoy Magic.
Yeah, exactly. It was definitely cheaper for me, 100%.
Yeah,
And
that's why I made the
played.
jump. I was always like, I don't want to play online. Oh, MTGO. I'm like, real cards. I got to play with real people. Blah 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 blah. All this other nonsense, right? But like the first time I saw my best friend play Arena, I was like, oh my god, I have to download this.
Yeah, it's
Like I was like,
sweet.
they did it. I was like, they made Magic like digital. I was like, they found a way to like let you do it,
So
you know,
close.
without it like. Without you being like, all right, let me tap each individual land. Oh, all my triggers came up. Okay, let me click on each individual trigger, and then I'm
I
gonna point
hate
at my
that. It's
opponent,
so
and then
annoying.
and I'm just like, all right, like if I try to play MTGO, dude, there's no way I'm playing MTGO on stream. Like I'm just gonna make like 100 mistakes.
Yeah,
Only if, like
yeah.
if I'm playing Burn, I thought about it. I was like, if I'm playing Burn, I could do it.
Just count to 20 every game. 1,
Yeah, pretty much.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
That's what I do on Mondays and Thursdays. Normally, I'm just like, all right,
Oh my
Goblin
god.
Guide. All right, hit you twice. All right, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, Boros Charm. I'm like, all right, cool. Next game.
That sounds so boring. How do people
It's
do
fun.
that?
I like it. I like combo. I'm a combo player. Like I play all kinds of archetypes. I'm not really like a control player, but the reason I like Burn
Yeah.
is because it's just combo. It's literally me just being like, oh, that's cool. You're trying to do stuff. I don't really care about that. You know, but I'm also used to competitive Magic where I
That's
don't
true.
have to care about my opponent's feelings. I'm literally just like, all right, turn 1 infect creature. All right, turn 2
No,
your
see,
deck.
that doesn't.
Like,
Yeah,
you know
that
what I
doesn't
mean? Like,
bother me. It's just like that gets boring to me. It's not even that. It's I could probably do that for, a cycle, maybe a year,
Mhm.
maybe. But then people are doing these eternal formats and doing the same deck
for
like,
years.
for years. For
Think about it, Burn.
years. And I'm
Burn has
like,
been around since what?
How?
2010, I think is when Modern came out. Somewhere around that time
How?
frame. So from like 2010, 2011, 2012, whatever, till
And
now.
Tron's been out for a while.
Yeah,
Infect
Tron
has been out for a while.
changed. Yep. Yeah, all
Yeah,
the and
Tron
that's
changed
why
a lot, but
you
it's
have to
still
remember though,
essentially the
that's why
same
people
thing.
like those formats. People like those formats because the cards aren't going away.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
your deck is still good. When you spend that $1,000 in Modern, your deck is actually good for like 10
you
years,
You
right?
don't really have to invest
Like,
much after that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Which is good, but at the same time, fuck, I don't want to play the same
it's
deck
boring.
for 10 years.
It's boring.
Are you kidding me?
I don't disagree with you. That's why I had been
Like-
changing in my Modern time. That's why I might play something for a year and get really good at that, and then just be like, all right, I can play this deck when I need to, or I can move on to something else now that I want to learn, like, oh, this combo or these cards, whatever. Because Modern is like,
I was never able to.
I wish they would add, not necessarily like, I just want them to add more cards to make Historic maybe like more. I don't know. I'm sure Historic is fine. I don't play enough Historic to even know.
They are adding more cards to Historic. They've done the Historic anthologies. They did the Alchemy cards.
I just think that
they did Amonkhet. They've been constantly adding.
Do you think that it's this weird clash of real life players versus people who only play digital? Where
there's a bunch of dumb
people who only play digital don't care about Alchemy as much, probably. But the people who play real life kind of feel weird about it, where they almost want like Pioneer to be like. We all want Pioneer to be on. We all want Modern to be on. But at the same time, like
Pioneer is going to be on. They didn't
that's
cancel
not
that
gonna...
project. It's still happening.
Yeah.
It's still on.
We're gonna have to spend wildcards on it. It's gonna end up being the same as Alchemy. Like if we get Pioneer,
but
people are
it's
still gonna be upset that Pioneer costs money.
Well, yeah, they owe us an economy stream. I do.
Yeah,
know that.
yeah. I've been seeing that on your Twitter.
Yeah,
I saw it on the original thing you made for the YouTube.
Yeah. I've been posting something every single day on Twitter. So make sure to go follow me on Twitter at StriderStone. Every single day, I'm posting a clip where he says, "I owe you an economy stream." And I'm counting every single day that we haven't gotten the economy stream. So if I can get enough people to like retweet it and like it every single day, maybe they'll notice. I mean, I know Watsy hates me, which is perfectly fine and understandable. That's fine. But I still want an economy stream.
It's a really crazy thing to just mention.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a really crazy thing to just say it and then kind of just not mention it at all for the rest of time.
Yeah, nobody
But
said
like,
anything about it. Like, once I saw the clip and I was like, how has nobody been talking about this? And I brought it up in the video, and still, like, a week and a half later, then it showed up on Reddit. And I was like, how did it take people this long? People need to watch my videos more.
yeah,
Come
it's
on,
crazy to
come
think
on.
that you like noticed it, man. Like you were on that. And there was like one other thing recently that you noticed, and I was like, oh wow, I can't believe nobody noticed that. I think it had to do with Alchemy or the decathlons or something. I don't remember what it was, but you brought
Uh,
something up, and I was like, oh man, that makes a lot of sense. Like,
with the
I mean,
console, maybe?
I
Was
don't
it the console ones?
maybe,
Might
yeah,
have been.
maybe.
I don't remember.
I think that's the only problem with Arena is the economy. You know
Yeah,
what's really
that's
crazy is
pretty much the biggest thing.
to compare it. I play Legends of Runeterra for the first time yesterday. It felt smooth. Like the game was beyond smooth. On top of that, the rewards for the game were kind of absurd.
Yeah.
Where they're literally just like, here's all this stuff. And it's a
I
free to
don't
play
know if
game, right?
it's pretty close. You can't really put that much money into it. It like kind of prevents you from putting a lot of money into it.
Right.
Because you can only buy a certain amount of things every day,
Mm-hmm.
or every week, something. I don't remember exactly how it is, but yeah, you don't really
I just
like
don't
need
get
to do any of that.
why don't they that's my number one thing is why don't they just give us more stuff? Like it
Yeah,
doesn't hurt
there's so
you.
many
It
things that
gets
they could
people
do.
more addicted into the game when you give them things. Do you not understand
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, the problem is
Like
that they were trying to do more mobile game stuff, but they're not doing it properly. They need if they
Mhm.
didn't do like a full-blown Christmas event or a full-blown New Year's event or a full like you could do huge events for huge things all over the world. Not even necessarily huge, but like, oh, here's a free 100 gems when you log in this day or
Yeah.
whatever. It's like every
Strider, there's
single
login
holiday,
rewards.
like
I don't even
there's
have to play a game of Legends of Runeterra. I open it
yeah.
up and I just get stuff.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah, I don't know
Are
why
you
they
kidding
don't do that.
me?
That's like
Like
every
what?
mobile game, but League of Legends, like Riot knows how to do shit.
And
So
that's why, like I said, that Arena incentivizes you to win. If you don't open up Arena, play games,
yeah,
cast right. If you cast more spells in a game than your opponent to get to those 20 spells, you probably won that game, right? That's just the name of the game.
maybe.
That's how it is. You cast more spells than your opponent, you win.
I mean,
Like
sometimes.
it's sometimes, yeah. But it's weird like that. Like I just think they need to figure I don't know if it's too late for dusting. And even if they did dusting, I'm just scared that they would just do it completely wrong. To the
Yeah,
point where like you
probably.
almost like wouldn't even want to dust, right? Where they're like, all right, you split a mythic and you get a rare and an uncommon. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, my
And then
biggest
they're like,
problem
all
right
right, you
now.
split a rare and it's a uncommon and a common. And you're like, that's terrible. What
Yeah.
value is this?
Well, my biggest problem right now is rares. I have 300 rares, but I can't do anything with them. Because
And you can't find mythics.
if a new set comes out and I use all my rare wild cards to buy all of the rares, it doesn't boost up my vault. I just start getting gems back from all the cards, which doesn't do anything for me because I can't get mythics. I have one mythic wild card. So I can't
And
boost my vault with all those rare wild cards. I can't do anything with it. They're just useless rare wild cards. They're just sitting there. There's nothing I can do with it. And it's so frustrating because
they need to
it's
figure
just
something out for
it's just
that.
fucking
Between
frustrating.
that and
that's me coming from a whale perspective.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so it's like it's not even just that there's problems if you're a free to play player or a very low entry player or medium, like it's across the entire spectrum. It doesn't matter how much money you're putting in, whether it's zero or hundreds. There's problems with the economy. There just
Yeah, and that's not good.
Period.
Whales shouldn't have problems.
Yeah, whales
Like
should
the
definitely
problems
have
that you go
problems.
through, like you shouldn't have to whale more to get mythic wildcards. That doesn't make any sense. You already have 300
Exactly.
rares. So why
Yeah.
can't I use, I don't know, the stuff that you've been stocking up on? That's what it kind of ties into what I said. It just feels like there's no reward. Like, where's the reward for this? Like, I want to feel like when I play, I actually get something out of it, rather than, oh, I beat, this mirror deck, or, I beat turns again for the 6th tile. Great. Oh, I got 2 ticks on my platinum, or, all right, 5 packs. Like, I want
Yeah.
to feel, I think that's why everybody feels so bad. And that's why the economy thing shows up big, because they don't give enough stuff away. If they
'Cause it's
gave a
the
bunch of
worst
stuff
part.
away, we probably wouldn't even be talking about the economy, because everyone would just have more stuff, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's just
yeah,
what it comes
true.
down to.
It would definitely be, it would alleviate a lot of it. I'm not saying it would
Yes.
go away, but it would definitely alleviate a lot of it.
Right,
People
it
would
doesn't
still
solve
be
the problem, but
complaining
it
about it, but it
helps
wouldn't.
it.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't
It
be
wouldn't
as
be
big
as
of an
feel
issue.
bad as what it is now, which, like I said, right now,
Yeah.
I don't get anything, Strider.
I was
Like,
pretty
what,
pissed when they nerfed the ICRs for the constructed events like 2 years ago. I was super pissed when they did that. I was like, "There's no reason for you to do this. You're just punishing the free-to-play people."
free-to-play players.
Haven't like addressed it, and nobody's like brought it up at all. And
I just
there
don't
was
get
like
why you
there was an
punish free-to-play.
outrage for like 2 weeks or something, but they made it. If you're unfamiliar with it, I don't know how many people are, but the constructed events, every single win, you would get a higher level of reward. You would usually get more gold, but then it started getting to the point where you would get rares or mythics. So it got to the point where the first rare that you would get was at like 2 or 3 wins, and then you would get 2 rares, and then you would get like 2 rares and a mythic, and then a rare and 2 mythics, I believe it was. But then they reduced it to where the max is only 1 mythic and then 2 rares, but you have a chance to roll higher, so one of your rares can roll up to a mythic, and
I think I remember that, actually.
It's a super low chance now, but it used to be like 33% that your rare would roll up to a mythic, which was awesome. And so you could just farm these constructed events. You could make a shit ton of gold. You would get a ton of ICRs. So you would just get individual cards. Yeah. So the whole time you're just like, okay, I'm farming gold and I'm farming the cards, because it would have duplicate protection on those cards that you would get, which was like awesome on top of that. And if you got, I mean, it's everything you needed. You were filling out your collection while farming gold, and then you would just be able to buy the new set whenever it came out. It was super, super easy.
Do you think that they're kind of trying to get rid of the free-to-play player? Because the free-to-play player brings them nothing. All that the free-to-play player does is spend their gold on a decathlon event, spend the gems that they already made off this other thing on a draft. Like, realistically, the free-to-play player doesn't give them anything. To me, it just feels like the free-to-play is just there to get people to actually play the game, rather than, like, actually support the idea of it that it's free-to-play. Does that make sense?
I mean, it makes sense. I don't think it's accurate, but I think...
You think that they get something out of the free-to-play player?
Yeah, because the numbers, the marketing, they're like, oh, we had 8 billion games played this year or whatever.
Gotcha.
You know, but they can't do that without the free to play players. There's just nothing they can do about that. That's
right. Yeah. We're not. You and me aren't going to play enough games. It's not possible.
Yeah,
it's just not possible.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not possible. And then it would just fuck up the queues for everybody. I think what they're doing is that they're in the middle of a transition for the economy some way, but they just can't talk about it because they either haven't figured it out fully, or they just haven't implemented it yet and tested it out. I'm assuming that's what's going on. That's what makes the most sense to me, is that they're currently already tuning it. They just can't say anything about it yet. And it's kind of ridiculous because everyone's like, oh, they're not doing anything about it. They haven't cared forever. I'm like, you clearly haven't been playing Arena that long, because Arena has like only gotten better. Yeah, every single patch or every single new set, it's always a shit show. 100%. It got better for 2 sets, and then it went right back to a shit show. But there were 2 sets that were good. That's better than nothing, right? We're getting more cards. We're getting older sets.
Like
it's still, Arena is still getting better. It's getting better developed. They fucked up the UI UX. Hopefully they fire the team that's working on it, or the manager, and so they can fix it. The UI UX was terrible to begin with. Now they made it worse some fucking how. And I don't know what's going on, but
But it makes sense that they can't talk about it, and that's why people get more upset, right? Like,
Yeah,
people get more upset because they're not hearing a final decision. But it's like they
exactly.
can't say they're a company. They just can't say it. That's just what it comes
Yeah,
down
and
to,
that's the part that
you know.
sucks though. It like really fucking sucks. Because
I
I don't want to defend WotC because they've done so many shit things, and I think their hiring process is terrible, and or their management is fucking atrocious. It's a combination of the two. I don't exactly know what it is because I don't
it's the
know
PR,
people
it's the
that work
public
there.
relations. It's the fact that like the public relations doesn't know how to make everything look fine.
I don't even think it's that because
If the
I don't
PR
think
made
the
it look fine, then we wouldn't
application.
even think, right? Though, like,
No, the application just isn't good enough. They have a
oh,
very small
poor
team.
Arena.
The team has gotten bigger, but the team is still small. People already have this meme, and they still call it a meme. They're like small indie company.
Yeah,
I'm
small
like,
indie company. Yeah, that's the
and
meme.
people just keep saying it's a meme, but they say it seriously, and I'm like, it's not. Like that's, it's not I mean, it technically is a small company. Like WotC is still a relatively small company. They have a lot of, art departments and logistics and stuff, but when it comes to Arena, they have I think close to 40 developers now, but at the time, they didn't have anything close to that. So they're I don't know. It's a small company. That's not a lot of developers. It's really not.
And
And
it's
just
not like Magic
people
has been making
think,
like bank. Like Magic just recently started making bank, right? So like we can't expect,
yeah,
like we can't literally can't say like Wizards has been making billions of dollars
yeah.
because
Well,
they
I mean,
didn't start
they've
making like a lot of money until like they got bought by Hasbro like in 2015
Yeah, well,
or
they've
whatever it
definitely
was.
made a shit ton off Arena, which is why they've been able to hire so many more people. They've hired like 10 more developers over the last couple of years and probably a ton more art directors and stuff like that. But, a lot of this stuff just takes time. Like, could you imagine being a developer and walking into this shit show?
No, that
It's
yeah,
like,
it's like Cyberpunk. It's like you walk in and you're like, "Oh my God, why was no
yeah,
one?" The first thing you're like, "Why was no one like putting this stuff away?" Right? You're like, "Why
yeah.
was no one cleaning up this mess
Yeah,
first?"
and you can't just like hire 40 people and double your team size and just be everything's just fine and expect it to
Yep.
work. Okay, that's not how a company works. That's not how development works. That's not how programming works. That's just not how life works. You can't just throw double the people at a problem and expect it to run smoothly. You have to train the people on what exactly is going on. You have to appoint people to do certain things. Everyone has to be. Yeah, I mean, it's so much more
It's
complicated.
time. It's just time because you have to plan. As someone,
Yeah.
we're talking about my tournaments. As someone that runs events myself, like I like to have my schedule about a month in advance,
Yeah,
just so I
but
have time to work around those dates.
how
You know,
much time? That's the problem. How much time do they need? That's the problem. That I think that's what everyone is frustrated with. But I think
that it's
people
been 4 years and we're still in beta.
I mean, we're
Yeah,
not in beta
probably.
anymore. We're not in beta
Are
anymore,
are we not in
according to
beta
them.
anymore? Okay.
No, we haven't been
Okay,
in
okay.
beta. We haven't been in beta for like a year or so. Year and a
Okay,
half,
good.
maybe.
I was about to say, I was like, I
It's
don't
been a
know, because
while.
beta, like,
Yeah, beta.
like, they haven't even finished
Oh
the game
god.
yet. I don't know. Um,
Might as
but
well have not.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
It,
I don't know. It's just there's so many things that they need to work on, and I hope they're already working on it. In my opinion, I really wish they would just double the size of the team, hire another 40 developers, maybe 50, and just put them on an entirely new team to make an entirely new client, one that supports spectator mode, one that supports 4 players, because they can't do it on the current client for whatever fucking reason. They said it wasn't possible. I don't know why there was such short-sighted when they initially made the client. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
they just
But
wanted to be one-on-one, man. I just feel like they don't want Arena to be paper Magic. And everyone that plays Magic wants
well,
it
it
to be
doesn't.
paper Magic, but it's
Well,
not.
it doesn't
I don't
need to
know.
be.
Like,
It doesn't need to be paper magic. It needs to be their moneymaker. While paper
yep.
magic does nothing. Because could you imagine if they had fucking Commander on Arena? They would make so
Dude,
much
it's
fucking
over.
money.
It's over.
Like Commander,
It's over.
Commander has so many whales. Commander is
Yeah, man.
whale. They
Commander
might as well
is
just
whales.
call it whale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Commander is like, oh, my all foil deck. I've got 20 of them. They're all like, CEDH decks, and it's like, oh my,
Exactly.
it's like, dude, I can't even play Magic with you. You know what I mean? It's like I just can't.
Yeah.
Like, you're just unreasonable to play a Magic game with this person. And
Exactly.
you're right. They would sell like, because
Like, all the
I hold Brawl
cosmetics,
tournaments.
It's like yeah.
And Brawl has been getting popular because it's EDH. It's one-on-one EDH, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why people like it so much, because the format is huge. It's Commander's. There's no best deck in Commander. That's not real. Like, you have like five,
Our
maybe
pool is
like
so huge.
super extra like CEDH decks that are like really ridiculous to play against, but
Yeah.
there isn't like, you know what I mean? There isn't like a best deck. So that's why people like Brawl. There isn't like a best deck in either regular Brawl or historic Brawl. It's pretty wide open, right? So you're right. If they brought if there was spectator mode and Commander, like, it'd be over, right? Like, spectator mode makes someone like me, who is trying to promote the game, have events, have the competitive scene exist,
so much easier.
and all these other things. So it's like spectator mode makes my life easy. I don't have to have
so many things.
Discord open anymore.
Like they could,
what we talked about
they
before
could
we even
allow
started
you
recording. Like,
they could allow you to like put banners or something on the playing field. Like they could allow you to make your own like map or playing field. Or battlefield. They could allow you to do that. They could give you the software, the tools to do that.
Imagine Sandbox MTG. Like, what you're talking about is so next level, you know?
And it would be so easy, and they could just charge for that, because like I mean, if I was running a tournament, I would gladly buy a board to be able to customize it, to put like my company name on it or something like that. Or even if it was just a board that only I could see, I would buy that too. Because I wouldn't really care if it looked better for me. I would be like, all right, cool, yeah.
I think all that'd be cool. There's so much.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that there's so much they could still do.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Magic sometimes, where they come out with like a new mechanic that's just like 3 different mechanics renamed, and I'm like, the best one was Adventure. Like, the first time I saw Adventure, I was like, wow. I was like, why did it take them so long to realize that you can just set a card in exile and cast it later?
That's true.
Like, when they over the last 2 years they just started messing with the exile zone.
Well, yeah, I think they wanted exile to stay exile and forever be exile. Kind of like how they haven't wanted to mess with Planeswalker emblems.
Yeah,
like super long time.
It makes sense.
I don't know if they're ever gonna.
It just makes sense.
I wonder if they're ever actually going to do something. I think they came out and said that they'll never do anything to remove emblems or interact with emblems, but it could be wrong.
It's rare. So what they do is, instead, they just don't print as many cards that have emblems. That's just their solution for it, right? They start putting emblems on cards that aren't as good, so then you don't have to worry about whether or not, I don't know, 4 mana Gideon when it was in standard and it was like the worst thing to play against, and they're just like, 4 mana, get this thing you can't interact with.
And it's like, 4 mana Gideon.
4 mana Gideon is 4 mana, comes in with 4 loyalty, 0, make it 2/2, +1, it becomes 5/5 indestructible to prevent all damage or something, and then -4 is you get an emblem with creatures you control, get +1/+1.
Oh my god!
So you would just it was the best card in standard easily by miles at that time.
That's stupid.
It almost got banned. They actually changed. They almost changed rotation in standard because of that card.
Wait, what?
Because people complained so much about it that they almost changed rotation.
Do you remember what the name of it was?
Gideon Ally of Zendikar.
Okay, yeah, I think I do remember. This is the same one that was out when Jace the Mind Sculptor was out, right?
No, Baby Jace. Baby Jace. The Gideon Jura, regular Gideon Jura was the one that was out with Jace the Mind Sculptor.
That's right.
That was the worst. That was like, I can't explain to you how bad that was. Where they're just like, all right, Squadron Hawk, next turn, something, Ponder and Stoneforge for a sword. Then you Jace, and then you play Gideon, and the game's just over.
I hated it. I hated it so much. That's why I stopped playing Magic.
I stopped. You and me both were like, my quote was, I don't want to spend $100 for an individual card to compete in this game. That was like my legitimate quote back then, because I was like, every single
Jace
deck
was more
is
expensive than
Jace.
$100.
Like,
Jace was way more than $100. Jace got up higher.
he was
Jace
like $100 in
He
standard.
got higher than that, I thought.
Nah, it was the first $100 card in standard. The most it might have been on Star City was like 120. Jace exploded when they unbanned it in Modern. The minute they unbanned it in Modern, it was like $500. And it's like, why is this card like? Because no one had it, right? Like no one had it, and everyone who had it was trying to dump it quick, right? To people who were just wanted it right then and there, right?
Yeah. So like, wait. So it came out. Hold on. In May 30th, 2013, it went up to $650.
Yep. Yeah, that's when it. Which one are we talking about? Are we talking about regular Mind Sculptor? Are we talking about like
Mind
foil?
Sculptor. I actually don't know.
I don't think
what this one
wasn't that much though. There was never a card in standard that's been like individually $600. The most expensive cards get in standard are $100. They don't even get that expensive anymore.
Yeah, they did. Next to Fate was like $250.
What? Was it really like $200?
Yeah, it's because it was only a box topper.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, and so they actually allowed you to proxy it in tournaments, from what I hear.
Nexus?
Yeah, because they
That's
only
weird.
had it was only foil and Nexus Fate because they were only box toppers.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
but the J standard was bad, and then the Gideon Ally Zendikar was bad because it just every deck ended up being like 5 colors because of the battle lands and fetch lands. So you had you had Jeskai with Siege Rhino in it, or I guess that's kind of harder to do, but you had more like Abzan decks that had like Mantis Rider or other shit. Like it just got really annoying. I think that's what they try to avoid now, where they don't want every deck to be the same. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened with Zendikar standard at that time, was that every deck was just like, you need to have Jace in your deck, or I just don't like it when it's like that. I think that they're trying to avoid stuff like that, which is why people really hate All Runs, because All Runs has that Jace feeling of like, oh, it's this one card that's beating me.
Yeah, if you don't have it,
and I need to play this one card or I can't compete.
Yeah, because if you're in blue and you're not playing Epiphany in standard, you're just gonna lose.
Yeah, it's
you
weird.
You win because of that card.
You have to be really good to not play that card in your deck. There's pro players don't play it sometimes, but they're also, really good that they don't need it all the time, right? But like the average ladder player, right? Like, what are you doing playing Izzet if you're not playing that deck, right? Like, realistically speaking, right? Like, you need to play Lear, you need to play Hullbreaker, you need All Runs, you need all the staple cards, Fading Hope, all this other nonsense. Like,
that's so annoying.
And this comes back to us talking about competitive Magic. If you want to compete, like, that's what you got to do. You got to play. You have to play these decks that someone actually spent time on.
Yeah.
You can't disprove this deck just because it's a meta deck. It's a meta deck, but Strider, you and me both know that plenty of people net deck and aren't good with the deck.
Oh yeah.
Like they play 2 games with the get deck and they're like, this deck is terrible. How is everyone else winning? And they're countering like Llanowar Elves.
I actually don't know.
They're wasting their first removal on like that's shittiest card they have, right? Like it's
terrible. I
terrible.
don't know how many people actually say that the deck is bad after playing a couple games if it's a net deck. Like if it's a meta deck. I don't know how many people do that. Maybe people do. I don't really talk to a lot of people Magic players. I know, because there's people who will say that about my decks from time to time, which I totally understand, because you have to play a certain way if you're playing with my decks.
To make the deck work.
Yeah, you have to be super, super greedy. If you're playing any of my decks, you have to be overly greedy, because I get down to 1 HP. I don't know, I'm fucking like 50% of my games. Like you have to be super, super greedy. If you're not being greedy, you're probably not going to win. And people just don't realize that.
People play too safe with that level. That's actually what gets you in trouble in Magic,
but it's not even just safe. If they play conservatively, they're still going to lose. You have to be really greedy.
Yeah.
Like, as greedy as humanly possible. It's like, well, if they have a shock, we're dead. That we haven't seen one yet this game. But if they have a shock, we're dead. It's like, it comes down to that. You're like, but if they don't, we win.
We win because we're going to do all this crazy stuff.
Exactly.
But People do complain though. I'm telling you, people, if they pick up a deck, that's what happens too, right? I'm telling you right now, I feel like that's what happens with people who are very anti-meta, where they make posts and they're like, "Oh, if you net deck your deck, you're so unoriginal, and you're just like the worst person to ever happen to Magic, and it's people like you that are like ruining the game." And it's like, yeah, because you probably picked up the deck and then lost with it, and then just didn't do anything else anymore. Like,
net deckers are terrible people.
yeah, they're unoriginal, 100%. But that's
It
also
matters. Like a lot of people, they just want to play. They don't have time to sit there and brew. They don't have the cards to sit there and brew. Like they just want to fucking play Magic.
Strider,
They're like, okay, what deck is working right now? Okay, I want to play this. I just want to win. I want to sit there. I want to go brainless. Okay, this deck wins. I can make a bunch of mistakes and still win because the deck is that good. Let's play this deck. It's like, and that, yes, it does. Sometimes that frustrates me. Like if I'm playing up against a deck and it's like one of the best decks, and this person punts like 7 or 8 times, but they're just top decking like gods every single time, and then I'm getting mana screwed or something. It's like you still lose, but not because it's like somebody who's clearly way less skilled than you. Like it's like Michael Jordan losing to a toddler. It's like you have no idea what you're doing, and I'm still going to lose because your deck is so good and I'm just getting fucked right now. And it's just like, it's the variance plus their lack of skill, but then their deck is, I blamed it on the cards. That frustrates me, but it does happen.
That started to happen to me. I started blaming it, as weird as it is, started blaming it on the cards, because what I used to explain was, I was like, well, I used to feel like I could play through the game and like almost find my way through the game with the person, right? Like almost like get to where I needed to get to, right? Like, oh, they don't have any cards left. Oh, the most basic of removal versus creature type nonsense, right? But instead what it's become is like they play this one card that does 3 things, and you can no longer play through that. Like your basic Magic doesn't play through that. So you're right. So when they're playing all runs, of course it feels bad, because they're just like, oh yeah, top deck the take an extra turn card, cast it. Yeah. Oh look, Hullbreaker Horror off the top, cast it. And it's like, well, it's because all those cards are crazy, right? Like, imagine if Hullbreaker was just like, like 7 mana, 7/8 with flash. When it comes in, counters a spell. That's all it did. Right? That's not even that crazy, right? It would still be pretty good, but
it would be pretty
it's dealable.
Good, but
it's a manageable card. Yeah, the fact that it actually counters every card you will ever play again for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
that is what makes it broken.
Yeah, and the fact that there's not... Are there any uncounterable spells in Standard right now?
Just the Hullbreaker. Lear makes stuff uncounterable. He's not... they're not uncounterable.
Does Hullbreaker... Hullbreaker makes... Hullbreaker just returns the card to your hand, right? It doesn't counter it?
Yes, Hullbreaker says return target permanent or spell to it. You choose one. Return target spell to its owner's hand. Return target permanent to its owner's hand.
Non-land
and it's whenever you cast any spell. Yes, non-land permanent. Yep. Can you imagine if it was lands? Oh my god,
I'd be playing the shit out of that card.
You played Boomerang, right, before? Did you ever play with Boomerang?
Never heard of it.
Boomerang's 2 blue, return a permanent. I used to play this deck in Standard. It was blue-red spell, and I want you to look up this card called M-A-G, Magnivore.
Okay, wait, hold on. So, is there a way to prevent your spells from being targeted? Like, is there a way to get around Hullbreaker Horror?
There isn't a card that's been printed that says spells you control have hexproof. So until they print that, then there's no, like, them returning stuff is the way you get around counter stuff. There isn't anything that gives your spells hexproof. If there was something that gave them hexproof, then you couldn't be able to target stuff. But because there's no, it's the way everything's worded.
Yeah. So the only thing you can really do to get around Hullbreaker Horror is by copying spells.
Yes, or having split second, which obviously is not on Arena. There's like a couple cards on Arena, actually.
Historic.
Or historic, yeah. But split seconds, I'm just like, all right, well, you can't stop this.
The Sudden Edict, target player sacrifice a creature. I didn't even know that card was in here.
Yep.
That seems pretty good.
I want Crows and Grip. Crows and Grip's the one that I want. Crows and Grip is on Arena. You're right. I forgot. Yeah.
Artifact or enchantment.
Yeah, that card's boss.
Mana. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I played in Modern. Modern is the best, where you're just like, all right, I just stop what you're doing, and you literally cannot respond to this.
Wait, what
Like
card am I looking up? Sorry.
Magnivore. I was gonna say you would like this. Magnivore
That
is
sounds
power
really
and toughness is equal
familiar.
to sorceries. I think it is. So this deck was a land destruction deck in standard. What would happen was they would
It's equal to the number of sorcery cards in all graveyards.
yeah,
Okay.
in all graveyards, yeah. So
Oh,
essentially
ninth
what would happen
edition.
is
Yeah.
you would be on the play, you'd be like, all right, I don't know, like blue red pain land, go, or island go. And then they play their land, and then you would go blue red pain land, boomerang, return your land to your hand. And they'd be like, what? And they'd be like, yeah, return your land to your hand. Next turn. They played a land, Stone Rain. Next turn, they play a land, Demolish.
Turn target permanent to its understand. Oh, it's just double blue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
brutal.
you just play Magnivore. Magnivore is like a 4/4 and it has haste. They can't kill it anymore. They have
Yeah.
no lands out. The game's over.
Oh, where's
Like
I do remember Boomerang. I played this when it was like first out, and that one, whatever set it was.
I have nowhere was the other one. It's a sorcery. You play so that card was better because it was a sorcery, so it powered your Magnivores and stuff. But imagine like playing that
Wait,
game,
which
you just
one?
never have a chance, right?
Wait, which one does?
Like, I have nowhere is a sorcery, but it's just Boomerang. I have nowhere is a sorcery arcane from Kamigawa.
Oh yeah. Ooh, are they gonna bring it back?
Uh,
Oh my god.
I don't know.
That'd be
I don't know
so
if
sick.
Arcane. I don't know if Arcane's gonna be in the set. I want Arcane to be in the set because it wasn't. It wasn't done right. They didn't make it broken enough the first time. Like when I think people when Kamigawa came out, people forgot that
What is
Magic
Arcane?
was literally at like its worst time almost before Kamigawa came out.
What is
Because you
Arcane?
had
I've never even heard
Ravager
of that.
Affinity. So Splice into Arcane means that when you cast a spell, you can cast this other spells from your hand for its Splice cost, which means that you add that ability additionally to that spell. So that spell now has the wording of the other spell that you're splicing onto it. And then that Splice spell just goes back to your hand.
I had no
So you're
idea
just
what you just said to me.
you're just so what happens, okay, the best example is Glacial Ray. Glacial Ray, look up Glacial Ray. Glacial Ray is just a shock for 2 mana. 1 red, 1 colorless. The splice of it is 1 red and 1 colorless as well. So,
Okay. As you
let's
play an
say
arcane spell, you may reveal this card from your hand and pay its splice cost. If you do, add this card effect. Okay, so I cast the 2 blue mana, return target permanent, and then pay an extra colorless and a red to splice it onto that, and then I get to deal 2 damage to target creature or player for 4 mana and bounce a permanent.
and bounce something, and you keep the Glacial Ray in your hand. Yep.
Interesting.
It was really nuts and limited because obviously you're just like, I don't know, add Glacial Ray to everything. You're just like, I don't know, shock just doesn't go away. The game's like over.
That's
like,
actually
sorry.
wait. Can you counter the splice? Is splice?
You counter the spell, which means that the spell will get countered, but the splice is just a reveal. The splice is just a reveal to add to the spell, so the splice doesn't get the whole spell would just get countered, but the splice stays in your hand.
You can't even do anything with it, yeah. Because you can't. Yeah, you can't even because it never goes on the stack. It does nothing.
The
It's
spell,
literally
right?
just a reveal.
Right. The spell is what's on the
You're
stack.
just,
The
you're
splice
just
is
fucked
kind of
with
just
the
like this thing that
glacial.
happens.
Yeah, that's actually kind of fucked.
Yeah, splice is kind of like retained priority, essentially, is what splice is. Because when you want to do things to your own stuff in real life, you're like, all right, retain priority. You're like, all right, retain priority, cast a spell, remand my own. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, all right, do this. So you can't really like, I'm not passing priority yet, essentially. And that's kind of what splice is. Splice is just like, hold on, I'm playing this and I'm playing this, essentially, kind of deal. It's a weird. Would you like to see that come back? Doesn't that seem kind of cool?
The
It kind of seems up your alley. I can imagine some really
splicing?
cool like spice cards that you're just like, all right, I'm just gonna keep doing this.
I don't know. If there was a way to add arcane, like if I could perpetually add arcane to a spell, then absolutely.
Ooh, Strider? Strider, you're making predictions now. We
Or
can come back to this and say that when they make a perpetual arcane spell.
Yeah, perpetual splice, perpetual arcane.
Yeah, perpetual splice.
They said they were doing new alchemy cards a month after every standard set, I think they said.
Yes. Yep.
So
yeah, it's like a few weeks after.
It is Kamigawa.
I'm telling you, You made a good point. I could really see like this card perpetually gains.
That would
Choose an instant or sorcery in your hand. It perpetually gains Splice 3 or something, right?
that would be stupid as fuck, dude. You could. Are you kidding me? If I did that with land destruction, no, we can't. That
Yeah,
can't exist. That can't exist. No, there's no way. That's not.
There's a land
acceptable.
destruction arcane. There is a land destruction arcane, but I don't know if it's a splice.
Well, you could splice onto it with anything.
Oh,
else.
right. Yeah. Yeah, you can splice onto it. I think
Yeah.
Kamigawa is going to be cool. I would like to see Splice come back. We saw Ninjutsu already, which Ninjutsu is like a lot of fun.
Yeah, Ninjutsu has been around though, kind of recently with
Commander stuff, right? And Jumpstart.
Was it Jumpstart? It was the one.
It was in
It was that one
Jumpstart
ninja.
Horizons.
Not the one ninja. It was the one rogue or whatever. When if it's not blocked, you can pay it, and then you can get a permanent card from the.
Oh, that's
library and put
yes,
into play.
it's the Merfolk. It's the Merfolk rogue.
It's a Merfolk?
I can't remember what the name is of the card, but it's a 5 mana, 4/4, and it says. Yeah, what is that card called? I can't remember, but that it's weird that card happened, right? Isn't it kind of like a weird thought that they made ninjutsu without making ninjutsu in Zendikar, with just that one card? And that's kind of like what we all know it as. We all know it as ninjutsu when we first see it. We're like, yeah, that's just ninjutsu. I hated losing against that card.
But there is ninjutsu.
Whatever it was called.
There actually
is there a ninjutsu?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Okay.
It looks like there was some in. Huh. These must have been historic anthologies. I think. I don't recognize that symbol. And then one of them's in Jumpstart.
Oh,
what is
they probably
that guy?
have all like the regular symbol. The Merfolk that brings stuff back.
Is it actually a Merfolk?
It's a Merfolk rogue.
Oh yeah, the trickster, Zareth-san.
Yeah.
Zareth-san. Flash.
Zareth-san.
Oh
yep.
yeah, it's just flash 4, return unblocked creature. Yeah. So I could have I thought this actually had ninjutsu. Like legitimately, I thought this actually had ninjutsu.
Because that's just what you think when you read "return an unblocked creature to my hand."
Yeah, but
the first thing you think is ninjutsu. Like, you know what I mean?
I didn't even. No, I don't, because I didn't know that mechanic existed.
Until like recently, kind of.
No, I didn't know it existed until that card. And apparently it didn't even have ninjutsu.
Yeah, do you have it? I'm sure there's so many people that just assume it does.
Yeah, a bunch of people probably should have said, "Oh yeah, it has ninjutsu," and I was like, "Oh, okay, ninjutsu." I just assumed it was probably that.
Yeah,
that kind of makes sense.
I'm excited for it. I love Kamigawa. I'm excited for the set. I'm excited to really see what they bring back and how they keep some of that old lore. And this is also going to be another set where every card is like legendary, because that was Kamigawa was like one of the first sets that really like pushed legendary stuff outside of like, you know, legends and stuff.
Oh, legendary permanents. Okay.
Yeah, legendary permanents, lands. I could even see legendary spells make a comeback in this set because it's Kamigawa. That'll be my prediction.
Like legendary spells. That would be super cool, because then we could use the 5 mana Kaya a little bit more.
Ooh.
I
think that card's gas.
Yeah, it
card's
could
good.
be. It is good with infinite turns. It's just it's pretty expensive.
It is good. That's a quote. It is good with infinite turns.
Yeah. Well, because you use it with the Karn Temporal Sundering.
Yeah, it's so messed up.
But
I used to do that in EDH.
Oh my
with
god,
like different
that's so
mono
stupid.
blue.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, I have a mono blue commander that when Naru Meha, she was from Dominaria. Do you remember that card? It gives all wizards +1/+1, which is like completely irrelevant. The main ability of that card is that when it comes in, it copies a spell that's on the stack. So you can with Ghostly Flicker, you retain priority and then just copy your Ghostly Flickers for infinite mana, and infinite comes into play triggers.
Oh.
So then you can actually set that up to if I had more mana, I mean, you have infinite mana, you can almost set it up with the Karn's Temporal Sundering, because you can cast the Karn's Temporal Sundering, returning like your own Naru Meha to its own hand, and then you would be able to cast it back at flash to copy the Sundering, and then now you just have infinite turns.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. Mono blue is not fun. You want to talk about
mono blue.
I don't like to play boring decks. I hated playing mono blue commander. That is the most boring thing ever. I think it's just so
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
it's
Mono Blue
terrible.
Tempo sucks. Everyone who plays Mono Blue Tempo sucks. And I hope your kids never learn to read if you play Mono Blue Tempo.
They don't need to read. Spell just
Exactly.
counters.
Yeah,
This spell says no.
exactly. Exactly. Same with the Azorius players. Just like Garbage Andy said. What did he say? He said, like, Azorius players don't have jokes. They're not funny. They have counter spells
Yeah,
for
they're
your
not funny.
jokes.
Yeah, they have counter spells. Yeah, that's the best.
Ugh.
But back to the tournament. Alchemy, I think is
yeah.
gonna be a lot of fun. What's really cool is that the more people that we get signed up, the more it actually fleshes out into what we actually believe the metagame is, right? Because I believe for Alchemy we've
Would be cool.
had 3 events so far. From what I remember, let me
3
actually take a
Alchemy
look
events?
here.
There's no way.
Yeah, there's been events. There's been a few events
Well, I
already.
knew there was one in. I thought the first one was in December. Did you have 2?
I haven't had an Alchemy event yet. This is going to be our first Alchemy event.
Oh, that's right. I tried to get you to have
Yeah.
a poll on your Twitter, and then you got mad at me because
Well,
I told people
yeah.
that you were going to do a poll.
Well, when there's 100 people signed up for standard, it's really hard for everyone to just find cards that weekend. It's like, yeah, this isn't going to happen. You know what I mean? Like half of those people just drop off, and then the other half probably don't even play.
Likely
And
story.
The first Alchemy ones I think didn't have. Here, let's click on Alchemy. Yes, so the most an Alchemy tournament has had so far is 56 people playing it.
Oh, was that Hooglands?
No, that was Black Pearl. You don't know who they are, but they're a cool organizer. I believe they're from Spain. Yes, Spanish Club of Competitive MTG.
And that was.
I know them
biggest one, you
because
said?
some
Wait,
of their
how many-
players actually play in my tournaments. They're really awesome.
How many did
Shout out to
Hoogland
them.
have? I thought he had a bunch.
It was like 40 something.
Oh, is that it? Jesus.
Yeah, it was like
Alchemy's dead. Dead format.
it was like 40 something. I don't remember how many it was. So the most that have happened so far. But you have to think about it, it's card availability. The number one thing for people not signing up
Yeah,
is they just
that's
don't have
true.
the cards.
Yeah, and that was like almost right after it came out, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Could
this
be
event
cool.
was the 23rd, the 26th, and then last Tuesday there's some events, but they're not. I mean, 30 people was the most last week for one. There's been 5 Alchemy tournaments, and last week the
Jesus.
most was 28.
My gosh.
Yeah.
It's
It's gonna pick up. Like it's gonna pick up the more time because then people have more cards.
I feel like it is, yeah,
people want to
because
play more.
I feel like a lot of people like it.
There was a
But-
statistic that CGB said, I think, on the Arena Crap podcast.
Uh-huh.
I love that show too. Him and Arjuna were talking about it, and CGB said that it's for the 1 week it was 200,000 games of standard and like 150,000 games of Alchemy or something like that. So Alchemy is actually really close to being to standard. It's just that the
Wait,
people who those
According
200
to
like,
what?
I think it was Untapped. It was Untapped.
Okay. But it didn't aggregate between Untapped and all the other ones?
Untapped only checks Untapped stats.
Well, I know, but other places have those stats too.
I don't think that they looked in to see. I think they just checked Untapped. But either way, if you think about it, like the main
Selection
thing is
bias. The fuck?
that. What's up?
I said selection bias. What the fuck?
All right, fine, fair enough.
I mean, I love Untapped, but I don't know how many people actually use it. I know a lot of people use it, but I'm pretty sure
So do you
a
think
lot
that-
of people use other things too.
I still think it's probably about the same number, though, right? Like
I
it's
don't
really
know,
close to
because
standard.
I think a lot of people use what is the other one? There's a couple of them. I think
MTG Assistant, MTG Companion, or whatever
that
it was.
the
I used
one?
to use
I think there's
I used to use
Companion and
Assistant.
Assistant. Yeah, see,
Assistant was Ether
is
Hub's
from
one.
Aether Hubs. Yeah.
Yep, that's the one I used for a while. And then I switched over to Untapped. But I still feel like that's close though, right? Like what's really holding the standard player back
MTG
is that they don't have the
Assistant.
wild cards, right? It's the economy problem. That's why Alchemy isn't soaring over standard, right? If the economy was better, Alchemy would just be the only thing everybody was playing.
Oh, yeah, so it's the MTG Arena.pro, that one. A lot of people are using that. I think it's the the paper boomers that are really liking that one.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. I never heard of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
it
think
is.
this was the first one, because this is the one that I started with.
That kind of makes sense if it was, because I feel like all the other ones came out separately, right? Like I remember Untap wasn't out, but I was using Assistant. And then when Untap came out, I was like, oh, I just remember everybody switched over to Untapped.
Yeah, Untapped is great.
Yeah, it's just smooth.
I was a huge pusher of Untapped. I was like, everyone get
Yeah.
Untapped. Untapped is great.
It's really smooth. But for the Alchemy, it's gonna take some time for Alchemy tournaments to fill up. And not that many people are having Alchemy events because of that, right? Like it's harder to have the cards. So by the time Kamigawa comes out, or by the time everything kind of stabilizes a little bit more, I think you'll see a lot more of those tournaments kind of pack up better. And like I said, we already have 50 signups, so we're already on pace to have more people than all of them.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But to talk about our
It's
other
ridiculous.
really big event that we're actually having
Big one.
after the Alchemy that Strider is actually commentating on.
Damn straight.
It's going to be damn straight. It's going to be on the 16th of January. And it's going to be a Neon Dynasty Set Championship qualifier, which means that
Hell yeah.
if you win this event, not only do you get cash, gems, you also get the invite.
Wait, is it cash in gems, or is it cash and gems?
Cash and gems. You get a lot for this tournament if you top 8. First place is the Neo Championship qualifier invite, 3K arena gems, and $100. I feel like that's pretty good. Pretty good. You get gems, you get money, you get the qualifier, and if you finish second to 8th, you get February qualifier weekend. So essentially, the thing that you qualify for through Mythic, that's what you get.
It's pretty good.
You also get gems. Second place gets 3K gems, just like first place gets $50.
That's not bad. That's definitely not bad.
Yeah, third, fourth, 1,500 arena gems. Third, fourth, $25, and then 5 through 8th is $10. So either way, you still get something top 8. So I mean, it's still
you at least break even. Well, you get a little bit extra.
Yeah, you get a little bit extra. Yeah, because it's $6 to this event is $6 to enter. This is our first event that we're actually charging for. Our other events in the month are actually free,
which is sweet.
This event starts at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, that's right.
So remember, $5 entry plus the $1 melee fee as well.
Me wake up all early that day.
Like, yeah. The fact that I'm doing it's really incredible. The fact that I'm doing a Neo Championship qualifier. It's really cool to be able to have a big event like this.
Yeah, that's really cool. Congratulations once again.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. This event is going to be before it's been a year since we've done tournaments. By the way, it's not even going to be our year anniversary when this tournament happens.
Damn. When'd you start? February or March?
January 20 something.
Oh.
Yep.
Like right around my birthday. Damn.
Birthday. So yeah, it's I'm excited for it. I think it's
hell yeah.
I just feel like I can't stress enough how much value it is for $6. Like a lot of places are going to charge $25 for the event, right? Like,
yeah.
If you go to your local store for a PTQ, it's like $25.
There's only 11 people for this right now.
Yeah, and so far we only have 11 people signed up so far.
There's going to be a maximum though. This after the Alchemy tournament, we're going to like blast this out.
Yeah, I think there's going to be the reason that there's no signups for this yet is because it's cash. You have to know that you're going to be there to actually sign up.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I just feel like there's like 20 ghost signups that are just like looking at this, being like, I need them to make sure that I can actually play in this event before I sign up. So like the day of, I'm expecting like a lot of people to just sign up too. Normally, a lot of people sign up on the day of just because we're higher up on the page. But it's awesome. I think it's really cool to be part of the competitive scene, but not playing. Because I don't want to play competitive Magic ever again. When I play on stream, like for the tournaments and stuff, it's kind of like for fun, and it's like, hey, look, can we maybe do something cool? All right, we took our chance, and that was it. Before it was very like, oh, I'm gonna go to this GP on this weekend. Oh, I'm gonna go to this.
So now you're just like net decking, so you're not playing competitively, but you're playing competitively because you're only playing competitive decks.
Yeah, because I'm only playing competitive decks badly most of the. That you came into my stream the other day, and I was like, oh, what was it that I said? I was like, oh, I'm so dead or something like that. I was like, oh, I totally messed this up. I don't remember what I was saying, but I was like, oh my god, I totally am messing this up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
what's immediately.
Going on.
This whole like this last like 3 days has been fucking wacky. I've had 2 land destruction decks. Well, not even this. Like I had a land destruction deck today that went 20-3.
Damn, dude.
And then I had a land destruction deck like a few days ago that went 11-1. Oh no, because it was separate. It went 19-2.
But that shows you that historic is in a good place, right? That lets you know that as a jank brewer. Remember the first time I asked you? Remember the first time I asked you though? I was like, oh, I was like, how's historic? You rated me, and I was like, oh, you were playing historic. How's historic? You're like, oh, historic, like alchemy adds a lot, but I just remember you were like, but I'm still seeing elves, blue white, this other deck. And I feel like now you probably don't see it as much still.
Oh, right now, like today, I ran into, just with this deck, I ran into 6 mono white life gains. I ran into 2 Coco life gains. Like there was a lot, but it's like technically the first day of the season. Like yesterday was the season, but a lot of people were partying. Today, everyone's like recovering from a hangover. But it's like the first day of the season. Everyone just wants to like climb up the ladder as soon as possible. So everyone's just playing aggro. And a lot of my decks are just anti-aggro because the majority of stuff that happens at best one is aggro. And right now there's just more often than not aggro. Like even more than normal. Because usually
first
best
few
one
days,
there's like 75-ish%, 70 to 70%. Yeah, probably 65 to 70% aggro normally. But now it's probably like right now, today it had to be close to like 80-85% aggro. It's crazy.
And everyone's going to be playing life gain combo, right? Because it's so easy. You're just hoping to just hit it.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep moving.
Casualties of War is just devastating.
Oh, that card's... I saw you play that today. That card's gas.
Yeah,
I used to play that in Sultai Control when Uro was around. I used to play like 2 or 3 of those because what was crazy was you just ramp into it with Nissa. You just be like, all right, Nissa, all right, just blow up your lands. You're done.
I love it when people play Nissa right into my casualties. I'm like, oh, you have a land and a creature and a Nissa? Oh, it's like double land destruction. And I kill a Nissa. It's beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
I think that there's a lot of over-the-top decks, like the type of decks that you build that don't... People don't make them enough. Because the thing is that like if I play you, like if I don't beat you, I like lose like badly. Like you know what I mean? Like if I don't find a way to just literally I have to get you to 0 is what it comes. I had to kill you. Because if not, then the game is just gonna be like, all right, now you're just playing all these ridiculous cards that I can't beat. Like what is it, the one that makes like a citizen token and populates? Like that card is
Celebration. Yeah, I was just doing Liliana and then Proliferate and then Ult Lily.
You're not winning anymore. Your little 2-1 for 1 isn't doing anything anymore, right? Like it doesn't matter.
Just ult my Lily.
So I think if people built decks more like that, I think brewing would be more of a thing if people built decks more like that.
Yeah,
like the decks kind of like you build.
Hard. It's so hard to brew in historic because of
card pool
barrier. Yeah, the barrier to entry is just so much.
Yeah,
it's because it's so.
We talk about alchemy's hard. Historic is harder, right?
Yeah, it just comes down to how much money you're willing to invest right now. If you're just now getting into arena, going into historic is just fucking. It's crazy, and it's so difficult because people will come into my stream sometimes. They're like, "Hey, you know what set should I buy packs for?" And I'm like, honestly, just don't buy packs. I was like, use your gold to enter events, farm ICRs, and that's the best thing you can do.
I give
That's
him a
what you
deck
should
list.
be
I'm like, I
doing
look
with.
up white weenie, I look up mono green. I'm like, all right, this is
I
kind
don't
of like
even
the
do
deck you
that.
probably want to start out with, or you know what I mean? Like the
I
old
don't
deck we
even
used
do
to
that.
use was a cycling, or like, because
Oh
cycling was so
yeah,
budget. Cycling was just
yeah.
all commons and uncommons, but Luris. So
And
you're just like, all
then
right, take this deck to the events you're talking about and just grind that forever.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't even do that though. That was my first initial thing. I tried to have people do that, but even when I tried that, if I play the same deck and I don't like the deck, I don't perform well with the deck.
Yes.
And so if it's not an archetype I enjoy playing, I'm just not going to do well with it. And then I'm not only am I not going to have fun playing the deck, I'm also going to be losing. And not having fun and losing are two things
That's the
I don't want
worst.
to do at the
That's
same
the worst,
time.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the worst, dude. That's the worst.
So it's just it's hard to say. I'm like, okay,
I,
well, what kind of deck do you like playing?
yeah,
And then you kind of
I
have to
think the
go from
question
there.
is like, what do you want out of Magic? That's the real question. Like,
Your
what do
mother.
they want out of
Boom.
Magic, right? Because if they want some cards to play, right, we can kind of sway them into that direction. Like, oh, here's just some cards to play. But if they're
Yeah.
expecting to like succeed at like this level that no one does, then that kind of comes down. It comes back to the people being upset about not being able to afford stuff. Where it's like, well,
Yeah.
that's kind of like part of the game, though. Like that's already like something that should be accepted when you come into the game. That like if I want to go play Modern, I accept that Ragavan is $80. So if I literally want to play Ragavan, I have to
So
spend $80 to get
expensive.
Ragavan, and that's
So
it.
expensive.
So yeah, and that's one
Wow.
card, right? Our whole thing, a lot of our conversations has been arena economy is terrible, and Ragavan's $80, right? It's like
Yeah.
um, like
And you
imagine
need
that,
four of
right?
them?
Yeah, and you need 4 of them, yeah, always, all day
Oh,
4.
that's
Yeah,
so tough.
it's one of the best cards. I mean, it's you know, I play Burn because I can't get Ragavan. If I could get
Gross.
Ragavan, I could play any deck I want
Ew,
because it's that
burn.
good. But I think that is the overall question: is what do you want to get out of Magic? Because if you expect to come into this game and start slam dunking people, that's not realistic. And that's kind of what sways a lot of new players away, right? Where they
Yeah.
think they see us
Because you
play
can't
and they
just
just
buy
think it's
wild
that
cards.
easy.
There's a couple things like you can't buy wild cards. I can't like buy a gem gift card and give it out to people. Like there's so many things I wish I could do. There's so many ways they could make money to help new players.
Yeah, that's just what we want.
Really
We want
frustrating because like if you want somebody to come in and build a deck, currently they can't. They have to buy pet.
no,
They have to buy
Strider, I
packs.
started a free to play account.
Mhm.
And 2 days in, I was looking at my collection. And I was like, how am I expected to do anything? I had like 4 pre-constructed decks, and I was like, yeah, these are like fine. I could play cards, but then like I could open up my free to play right now. Look at the collection. Like I
Yeah.
was trying to build a deck because I was like, all right, maybe I got some commons and uncommons, right? And it's like, no, I don't because I just didn't open cards yet. So I need to open cards, and it's like, oh my god, like I can't as a free to play player. All you're doing for the first 3 months is only getting your dailies.
That's
That's it.
true.
That's all
I
you're doing
wonder
as a free to play player.
I wonder if
That's
I
it,
should
man.
do that for the content. Let me know in the comment section
Yeah,
below if you want me to
I've
do
thought
a
about it.
free to play account. That sounds terrible, but who
It's
knows?
rough, dude. It's really rough because it's like I'm literally forced to play like really bad mono green, really bad mono white, like these red decks that are just terrible. And then it's really bad because the game is supposed to be set up like your first 50 games of new player is literally supposed to be like other people on your level. Like
Yeah.
one of my first games, I jumped in and it was Epiphany, and I was like, "Are you
Oh
serious?"
my god, no way.
I was like, "What is, dude? For real?" I was like, "What is
That's
this?"
horrible.
Yeah. So like, and there's
Because
weird stuff like
that is what's also good about the constructed events because you'll only go up against decks that are of similar power level to yours, but you'll also
Yep.
be matched up against people that have the same record as you. So if you're 0
Yep.
and 2, you're going up against someone else who is 0 and 2, which is good because that means their deck also sucks as much dick, if not more, than yours.
Yep.
So that's fantastic, right? Because who doesn't love a good old?
Yeah, pretty much. But that's the problem with the free to play thing is that the game is supposed to match against new player, but what if that new player spent money?
Yeah.
if that new player spent money, then you're gonna play against someone who has a meta deck, and then
Yeah.
that makes, to me, I almost feel like I would like to, this statistic I would like to know. How often does the new player stay? Because
There's
yeah,
a
you're
lot of
introducing a
stats
lot of
that I
new
wanna know.
players to the game, but if most of them run into the same issue that we're talking about, where you can't even craft a deck because it
What's
costs money,
retention? Yeah.
then like yeah, your numbers look good, but none of the players are staying, right? Like what to you, what even makes a new player want to stay right now, right? Because the game is complex.
Just because it's Magic. Well, if you're
Just because it's
saying
Magic.
new player, if you're saying new player as in a new player to MTG Arena or a new Magic player?
A new, let's say it's someone that has never played Magic before and their first entry is Arena. That is what I mean by a new player. Anyone
don't
who's already
recommend
played
people
Magic
ever to
doesn't
play
count as a new
Magic.
Arena player because they technically already played Magic, so you already know how to play Arena. Kind of like already there. But if you're like a completely brand new person, first time ever playing Magic, and you jump on Arena, it feels really bad. It feels really, really, really bad. I played Runeterra for the first time yesterday, and that game, I can't tell you enough how good that game felt. Right? As a new player, someone who's never played that game before, who's literally addicted to Magic, who's played Magic for 20 years almost, and I play this one game for the first time, and I'm like, wow, this game is, I want to play more of that game.
I did not.
You know,
I
like it got me
after 2 games.
Yeah, it got me, but
like,
Magic,
I just
Magic,
don't
I
like
feel like it's
other card
hard.
games. I just don't
Yeah, I
like
don't
other
really
card
care.
games. People are like, oh, you should try this card game. You should try this one. You should try this one. And I'm like, they're just not good. I don't care. They're not fun.
They're not Magic.
I'm an FPS
What makes Magic
player.
is it's like the
I
best
want to
game
play
ever.
FPS games. I want to shoot some motherfuckers in the head. I don't care about card games. This strategy bullshit. Like nobody. If I'm gonna play a strategy game, it's not gonna be another card game. Like I just don't need it.
I just don't want to invest the time and money into another game. Is what it always comes down to me. Where I'm
yeah, that too.
Magic. Like I'm actually invested in Magic, so why don't I spend that money and that time into the game that I'm actually invested into?
Yeah.
But that's my number one thing. I want to see how much of the new players do they actually keep? Because they're gonna run into the same thing I ran into, and I'm an experienced player where I'm like looking at my decks and I'm like, oh my god, I only have like 20 rares, and they're all not in like the other colors of the decks that are more constructed. So then now I have to like, it's weird. You should definitely try it. I made it because my name on my free account is actually HollywoodPizza now. So that way I had like an account with that.
You got the real one?
Yeah, the real one. But it feels bad, and you know what feels even worse is when I look at it, it's kind of like impossible to get gems unless you draft. Or the daily deals. You're not going to get gems as a free-to-play player. It's not realistic.
Yeah. I mean, you don't
just
really
not.
need gems for anything, though. What do you need gems for?
Sure. I mean, it reasonably, it would be cheaper than using gold, just because
really,
gold takes longer.
It's really just to buy
time to
packs
accrue.
in bulk, because right now, if you need to buy packs with gold, you have to do one at a time, and that's fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
That is fucking ridiculous. That is a UI UX nightmare. Like, why? Just
yeah, why can't I just
why?
click on it and select 60?
Yeah.
And then I click buy, and then yes, I want to use 60k gold. Yes.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
It's just
I'll
not.
never understand it.
Strider, it works enough. I've worked for enough businesses and enough really bad business owners to say since it works enough, that's all we needed to do.
It doesn't work enough. It's terrible.
I used to work at this bar that once a week the sink would get clogged.
Oh my god.
It's like, well, why is the sink getting clogged? So then they would call in this plumber that obviously just looks like some guy they know, it undrains it for the rest of the week, and then we're right back at it again the next week, right? But you know what, Strider? It works just enough.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So if people buying those packs, they don't care if you buy packs with gold, Strider. That's the thing. These are free-to-play players, right? Like, it doesn't... You don't have to do anything for that.
Yeah, but you think with like the UI UX change that they did, it would have encompassed that, or the store change that they did a while ago, or the the deck building change that they did a while ago. Like, there's so many opportunities for them to just change this, and it's a simple fucking fix. Like, you could have one person spend 3 hours to fix that. Like, that's simple. Like, that part is
there,
legitimately
though.
simple.
They won't spend money on something until the time they need to. If the store still works, the whales can click on things and buy them. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the store looks like. You and me both know there's plenty of microtransaction stores that look like straight shit, but people go on them.
Yeah, but they're not the
spend
good ones,
money
though. The
on
thing
them.
is, like, the good ones are so good. People just fucking throw money at these people.
And I actually
They
think
can make so much.
it comes back to what I was saying with like give people free stuff, where my idea was always like, do you not understand how much more money you would make?
True.
Like that's what, like, that's like a serious talk. That's like my serious talk to them, to like actually get to them, right? Because that's the only
Yeah.
thing, right, that they would get is money, right? Or whatever what most people think, or let's be realistic, it's a business, it's money anyway. So to me,
yeah.
it's more like, hey, listen, as like an economist or something, be like, this is what your profits could look like if you did this.
That's yeah, you would have to know the inner workings of the company to be able to do that. That's like way too
Yep.
much. You would never be able to do that as an outside source.
Yeah, but there's no, they don't care though, because it doesn't,
Yeah.
if they're making enough money now, like I said, if it works enough, if the store works, you can still buy gems, you can still buy your daily deals nonsense. Like, as long as you can still click on that stuff, they don't have to change anything. They
I
don't have to
guess.
do anything. The sad reality of it is that they just say that this is it. People will pay for it. Magic the Gathering is actually the best example of people will pay for it. We all pay for $1, $20,
For
$1,000
whatever
cards.
reason.
People
For
will
whatever
just
reason.
pay it. They Star City Games is made a living off of people will just pay it.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
like that's the sad reality of it, is that it's not
Mm.
going to change because it doesn't have to. We can cry about it and we can actually have a legitimate reason as to why it actually needs to get changed, but they don't. They just won't.
There's nothing we can do
I've seen
about
it
it.
for
Yeah.
almost 20 years. They don't. The
But
game
that's the
is
problem.
gonna
It's like
keep going to them,
people
right?
people didn't complain enough. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. There wasn't enough.
There wasn't enough
Like,
backlash
the
because
professionals never said anything. The companies involved never did anything. They just didn't care enough. They like cared, but they didn't do anything about it. They just did. Every other gaming company like listens to their fans because the fans are so loud and adamant that they're forced to, outside of, a couple companies like Activision. But
Mhm. Well, there's one time where it happened. And if you remember, this is when it happened, was when the original idea was you have to spend twice the amount of wild cards for historic.
oh yeah, I remember that. That was ridiculous.
So
That was ridiculous.
that was the day people actually got that upset to
People
the
were
point where they had to
super
change it.
pissed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do
So
remember that.
the problem is that even though everybody just like deals with it, you're right. If people stood out more and actually promoted, which is what you actually see more now, like a lot of content that's been coming out recently is
Yeah.
a lot of stuff about
Complaining.
Arena, pretty much. And I think that helps. That they're making money,
Yeah.
so it doesn't hurt. Like, just give people some things. Like,
Yeah.
these players have literally invested time and money into your game for this long,
So
and you keep
much.
abusing them. Like, stop abusing them. Like, actually give them a reason to want to play the game, because
Mm.
eventually those people aren't going to want to do this anymore.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
people like you and me are quote unquote
Just need
more
to.
old school even, but even someone like me, like, I just don't want this to keep going.
Yeah,
Like, I still
it's
want to play
true.
the game. Like,
Yeah, I
can't I
just want
not
them to
play the
fix it.
game?
Yeah, I just want them to fix. If they can fix it, it would be so much better. That's all they need to do is
Yeah,
fix the
they can
economy.
make so much
But
more
that's
money,
why
Strider.
we have
They
that
just don't
economy. Oh
understand.
yeah, they can make so much money. If
Like,
I could
they don't
sit down
understand.
in front of a marketing person for like 1 hour, that's it. That's all I would need. Just let me sit in front of a marketing person or a program manager. That's all I need. Just give me in front of one person. One person. That's all. That's all I need. That's all I need.
Yeah, eventually it's gonna. I don't know how long you could tap into the well of 20 years ago. That's how I feel about it. I literally don't know how long you can keep
Yeah.
getting out of your older players, because eventually your game is promoting newer players, which essentially push out some of these older players. So how do you expect to maintain all these older players if you're pretty much pushing them out with this other thing that you're trying to make money off of or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So you need kind of like this balance. You just got to give Strider, just give something back. Give me like a freaking pre-cron every day. I like what Herbie used to say, which was like, instead of gold, how about every win you get is a dual land? How about every win you
That
get,
that's
you just get a card
ridiculous.
you can actually use,
That
right?
that's probably too much.
You think that's like starting to
Uh,
be too much, giving back too much? Like,
every win is
ev-
a new card. That's quite a bit.
okay, all right, that might be a little bit extreme, but
But
just
giving out
some
like
rewards,
giving
some
out a
rewards.
pack a day, I don't think is a big deal.
Okay, I
But
like that
like
more. Yeah,
but like
pack a day.
a pack of your choice, like a pack token.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
I think
It
that would be
helps,
interesting because then you could target the exact set that you want or that you need to fill out, and yeah, I
and
think
you would still
I
have
think that would
your.
be interesting.
Essentially, it's one wild card a week.
Yeah, yeah, it's not bad. And then you can still target the set, and you still get what? I mean, if you're doing it 7 days a week, you still get minimum of 7 rares and or mythics. So
Yeah, that builds your
yeah,
collection.
and
It
then
gets you the cards
the
you need.
wheel. Yeah, it takes a while, but obviously not forever.
Yeah, exactly. The first 3 months that you're playing Arena, that's what you're doing. And then after 3 months, don't even worry about what's in standard, what's cool that everybody's playing, because in 3 months, you're going to actually get to play whatever you want.
True, true.
Because that's what I did. I'm telling you right now, um, I was a free to play player. That's actually what I did. What I used to do was
Yep,
I used to just do my dailies, collect all my gold. Sometimes I'd get packs and stuff. But eventually, what
that's
happened
all
was
I
that the
did.
first few packs that I opened, I actually ended up with a deck. So then I was just able to just use that one deck for 3 months, save up, and then now get more things. And then now we can use that to build more decks. And then my collection's
Lucky
getting
bastard.
bigger. It's
You got all of
it's
them
that
off
fear
of
of missing
one?
out.
The FOMO?
Yeah, because everybody's like, oh, I want to play standard right now. I want to play all these. Everyone's playing all these awesome cards, and
Yeah.
you get caught up in that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you don't have fun because you're like, why am I not getting the cards? And it's like, well, because you're not being patient enough about it. And you can't jump on Arena and expect to have a standard deck right now unless you actually spend money on it. It's gonna
Yeah.
come with time.
Yeah, same with
And then
historic. It's gonna be ridiculous. Just draft, get your packs, go away.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I was actually thinking, I asked this question to Dean, which was I was like,
Dean
what do you
Stight.
think
Shout
of
outs
the
to Dean.
idea of Alchemy Draft?
I thought it would be cool. I was surprised they didn't do it.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. What I thought was they should do is they should add you get 2 rares in one pack. So that way it doesn't feel so bad and limited where every person is just beating you with like the alchemy cards and you don't have a chance to get them.
Yeah,
Because
that would actually be a really good idea
the
because of
alchemy
the fact
packs
that you get
actually
to
have
do a lot.
Crimson Vow cards, and Crimson
Yeah,
Vow
yeah.
cards versus alchemy cards would be really bad.
Yeah. But then you also get to fill out your Crimson Vow set as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
All right, well,
I
yeah,
think that would
let's
have been a
wrap
cool way to do
let's
it.
wrap this up because this is going on like way too long, I feel. It's been like
All right.
2 hours.
Yeah, we're almost at 2 hours. It's crazy.
Jesus Christ. Time flies. I thought it was like maybe 40 minutes and I look at the time. I'm like, holy
We're just hanging out.
I know we could talk for hours. Talk for hours. But yeah, it was a blast. It's always a blast.
Yeah, thanks, Strider. I really appreciate
So,
your time today, and you just let me be on YouTube and get to talk about the events, which are
of
pretty
course.
exciting. 2 free to play. One is $6, including that Neon Dynasty Championship qualifier.
Which is big stuff. All the links
Oh
to
yeah,
those
baby.
will be in the description below. So don't forget about that.
Yep, definitely check that out. And thanks again, man. Have a great
Cool.
rest of the day, and Happy New Year.
All right, you too.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you all so much for watching to the very end. I do appreciate it. It helps the channel grow, especially since it's a new one. So please share it with anybody who you think might be interested. Hit that subscribe button, bell notification, and leave a comment.